Right now, joining us in the studio here at Outlaw Dave's is Kyle Coplen from the Armed Citizens Project, or ACP.
That is the easier way. Hey, thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. Good to be back.
We put the ACP sticker up on the outside windows of the bar here. No break-ins.
Yeah, I'm sure people weren't going to break in before, anyways.
But
also, I've been here.
The sticker's a nice touch.
That's true. That is true.
I can't remember the phraseology. Is it like, is there anything worth losing your life for?
It says armed citizen. Nothing in my home is worth your life, and it has our little logo right there. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit again about the Armed Citizens Project. Is it? It's a local organization. Kind of poised to go national, perhaps on some level. But you guys started it here locally to address a certain problem.
Yeah. So what we do is we train and arm residents of high crime neighborhoods with free pump action shotguns. Then we put up signage letting criminals know they're at an increased risk of death. And I'm doing a multi-year study on it. And yeah, we just had an awesome year. We started in January, and armed an entire neighborhood in Oak Forest, and we're, like you said, poised to go national. Got Indianapolis coming online soon. We've got about 4 cities in Florida, San Antonio, Tucson. I mean, we're really starting to spread, so we're really excited about moving forward and, putting some shotguns in the hands of people that need them.
Some interesting stories of late have surfaced, and you might have seen them on the Chronicle website, talking about how in Mexico, finally, some of these towns that have been basically held hostage or captive by the drug cartels, that they have finally found a way to arm themselves and have taken their communities back, which, on a certain level is kind of exactly what we have faced here in certain communities in the Houston area as well as across the nation. Is it too early, since it's barely been 12 months, is it too early to assess the success of Oak Forest?
Yeah, it is. I had the idea for it in January. We started arming people in Oak Forest in May, and we got the last individual armed in that neighborhood in about August. So, I'm doing a multi-year. I have my master's in public administration. I want to make sure it's something I can publish and have peer reviewed. So, yeah, anecdotally though, we've heard about the crime rate going down in that area. And but everyone that we've trained and armed comes back and says, I feel so much safer in my own home now. The sense of security and safety that comes with having a firearm, that makes me really happy to hear people.
And the adequate training. I mean, and that's part of it. You can't just,
right.
I mean, you can just go to a gun store and buy a gun. It does come with, I think, a small instruction booklet, but proper training, and that's something that you guys have certainly focused on.
Yeah, that's something that we're big on. We say our training's 3 parts. It's legal, safety, and tactical. So what are your rights and responsibilities under the law, how to make sure you're not breaking it. Safety, obviously, don't point at anything you're not ready to destroy, keep your finger off the trigger, the basics. And then tactical, we put them one-on-one with an instructor in a range, and we get them working experience with the firearm and come up with kind of a safety plan. We're right now working on doing quarterly trainings for free for the people that we've already trained and armed, get them coming back.
Good. Was there a particular reason that you chose Oak Forest?
Yeah, so one of the things that sparked what I was doing anyways was when the World War II veteran Elbert Wood's home was vandalized, and he lived in Oak Forest. And that's not the main reason. We're data-driven, and we decide we go where we think we can have the most impact. And Oak Forest fit all the checkbox. It was down to about 5 neighborhoods, and yeah, the crime rate there, we chose an area that has 400 houses. They had 107 home invasions last year. So, I mean, it's prime for what we're doing. We're really excited to help people out there. And then it's just bonus that we're there in Mr. Wood's neighborhood as well.
Well, those of you unfamiliar with the Oak Forest neighborhood, well, obviously it fit the criteria of 400 homes. What it also had is a neighborhood that is flanked on at least 3 sides by multiple unit dwellings, apartment complexes. A lot of them fairly inexpensive.
Yeah, and a lot of those folks that are living there, from what I've heard from the residents and the homeowners that have talked to me about this, is that it's a lot of people that came during Katrina. They saw the crime rate spike. Folks there on Section 8 and whatever, and we hear about that all the time. Is the crime in this area wasn't too bad. Then we put up low-income housing or these apartments here, and it spiked, and that's what we're seeing in the area in Oak Forest.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's a lot of neighborhoods around the city where the slumlords have capitalized on getting some federal subsidies to maintain their. We saw this in a couple on the edge of Spring Branch. They were slated for demolishment. They should have torn them down, but they applied for some federal funding, made them Section 8, and then got obviously just enough money to bring them back up to barely to code. But then they had to start putting, Section 8 people in there.
Interesting story. One of the most frustrated conservative moments I've ever had. I was broke, and so I was selling my blood plasma at one of those plasma centers, and a guy next to me was freestyle rapping about how he's going to use his Section 8 money to buy a new motorcycle.
Right.
So,
and we're all for owning a motorcycle.
That part didn't frustrate me. It was the Section 8 housing funds freeing up money for that. So, yeah, so you have that problem, but also as a renter myself, it unfortunately messes with the market, and I'm sure I'm paying more in rent because the market's been distorted from that. But
now, speaking of paying for things, you started the Armed Citizen Project last year. You have implemented it. You've gotten a lot of press, national press. A lot of people have talked about this innovative approach to combating crime. Certainly, law enforcement has, if not officially, at least unofficially, applauded your efforts.
That's correct, unless you're talking about Northeast big city law enforcement. If you're talking about New York City and D.C. and Philadelphia, no, but I really don't care for their support anyways.
But there has been a rather interesting turn of events in your other facet of your professional life. You are an adjunct professor teaching over at Rice University.
I'll say faculty. Professor sounds like I have a doctorate, I have a master's. But yeah, I was working at Rice University. Was there for almost 3 years. Started Armed Citizen Project while I was there, doing grad school and everything as well, and full time. And unfortunately, I'm no longer at Rice because I feel like they really didn't welcome what I was doing, and they actively worked against Armed Citizen Project or against my efforts to build Armed Citizen Project on the outside. I was punished for my activism, and it was really unfortunate. I really enjoyed the university, enjoyed the people and the students and everything, but the administration, I feel, saw ACP and what I was doing as a potential liability, wanted nothing to do with it. The president of the university was president of the Harvard Law Review the year before Barack Obama. So ideologically, I kind of feel like I know what I'm looking at. And when a reporter writes that someone works at a university and that university issues a redaction request, trying to smear that person, make them look like a liar, you should have no expectation that your employer is going to disown you publicly or that they're going to threaten to terminate you for meeting with a reporter on campus. Or, I wasn't allowed to have the fact I worked for Rice on my social media. I was told to remove it from Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I had just graduated from a master's degree, and they wanted a 2.5-year gap in my online resume because guns are icky,
And did you register some concern about this to the powers that be?
Yeah, I did. But it got to the point where I think it was May 10th. They called me in for a meeting. An article had ran in Germany. I met a German reporter in my office on a Friday evening after I taught my class, and he ended up writing an article and said that he met me on Rice University's campus, and that was all Rice needed to say, whoa, you're linking the two, and you link it again, and we may fire you. Very arbitrary. I wasn't allowed to wear Rice University apparel when I did activism, was on television, and so I felt I had no choice but to resign. They were on my back so hard, and it was so ambiguous that I gave myself a 3-month resignation window. I said, okay, well, in August, that's going to be it. I'm going to be gone. And so it got him off my back for 3 months, but unfortunately, I had to leave the job that I love.
Did you feel that your participation in the Armed Citizens Project, which you're doing a study on, do you feel that it affected your ability to do your job?
No, not at all. you have to. One of the things is with Rice, I was the aquatics director and I was faculty in the fitness program, and I have a degree in aquatics. I'm one of like 100 people in the world with a bachelor's in aquatics because only one school does it. I'm always got great performance reviews, but once I started doing activism, it was very apparent that there was really, well, at least firearm activism, that there was really no place for me. And yeah, I'm sorry, what was the question?
I asked you if you felt that your participation in the ACP was affecting your job performance at work.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely not. And what was interesting is one of my write-ups that I received, every write-up that I have references my activism in some way. One of the write-ups I had received said that it was a vagary. Well, one of the things was he didn't give us enough time to notice to fly to New York to meet with Piers Morgan. Well, I gave them the notice as soon as I got the email. They approved it. If you're my supervisor, deny it or not. Don't write me up for something you approved. Anyhow.
Wait. So you flew to New York to be on the Piers Morgan show. The same guy who came down here to do a town hall program about gun activism. So you flew up there. You got approval from your supervisor, and then they wrote you up for it.
Because I didn't get the approval early enough. But I got the approval.
Created a paper trail so that they could basically push you into a corner.
Yeah. So and also in that write-up they had a second thing, and it was just in general you seem distracted from Armed Citizen Project. Well, I'm working full time, doing grad school at night, and doing my job well. I take a lot of pride in my job. But I also had just had a daughter 9 weeks premature who spent the first 4 weeks in a hospital. And so I was there at the hospital maybe 5 hours a day. And so to get in one of my write-ups that I was distracted from my job due to Armed Citizen Project, when a distraction from my job didn't even exist in the first place, very unsettling.
So on so many levels, this is disappointing because, I have friends that are Second Amendment advocates. Some of them actually work in liberal bastions, but there seem to be heretofore sort of a respect, even though there's a level of disagreement. But what I'm hearing from you is that Rice University's position is vehemently anti-Second Amendment.
The people, I can't stress it enough, people I work with, the department, the students, they're all great. It's the administration that I feel came out with that. And actually, what I first believe put myself on the radar with the administration was a year after I started working there. The state law is if your employer requires you to park on their property, they can't deny you the right to carry a firearm, have a firearm in your vehicle. Well, Rice University's policy was incompatible with state law. I went to the PD there a couple times, ended up having to write to general counsel, going back and forth, had to definition of premises and everything. Finally, they had, said that I was correct on the policy and absolutely did not amend it right away. But I feel like that put me on the radar. And especially with concealed carry on campus being big, I'm not interested in doing activism at my employer's place. But I feel like they were worried that I would want to do that. And so it was get this guy out. Before, that's how I feel, is get this guy out before he starts rabble-rousing here. And I had no interest in doing that.
So we can assume what's happening. We're talking with Kyle Coplen, one of the founding instigators behind the Armed Citizens Project, who has found himself, veritably forced out of his position over at Rice University because it runs contrary to, is there a stated liberalism policy at Rice, or is it merely just the only liberal college in the state of Texas?
I won't even say it's a liberal college. I'll just say on this one issue, because there's no one else that's giving away free shotguns to people. Granted, the situation is somewhat unique, and I understand that, but the campus itself, the way the college is set up, the way the students run their own government, I always thought it was very libertarian in nature. And so I never thought I would have an issue with this at all. And also, I'm someone who never wanted to link Rice with ACP, and so Rice University didn't even know I was doing ACP until about 4 months after I created the organization. My direct supervisor obviously knew, but the administration itself. So I did such a good job separating the two. But they see it as controversial, and I see nothing controversial in training an army. Is there a policy that says that as an employee of Rice University, you can't engage in anything that's controversial? No, absolutely. And that's one of the interesting things about last write-up I had about that German article. I went down afterwards and looked at the handbook, or actually this was well later, looked at the handbook, and as a faculty member and staff member, I can demonstrate and picket on campus if I want to. And so the fact that I was put on probationary status and threatened with being terminated because I met with a German student reporter in my office at 5 p.m. on a Friday when I'm a salaried staff and faculty member, that's absurd to me. And I can't imagine there's anyone else engaged in anything progressive that has seen the same pushback from their employer at Rice.
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were out there protesting the military-industrial complex, they wouldn't have a problem with that.
So one of the funny things too is while I worked at Rice, I wasn't allowed to wear Rice University apparel when I did activism or was on television. And now that I no longer work there,
I see you're wearing a Rice cap
in public. You will not see me on television or engage in activism without representing. And I think it's in solidarity with my conservative brethren there, all two of them.
Both of them. Well, Rice University has been the home or the host for the Southern Journal of History for a number of years, which is a notorious liberal revisionist originator, having known some of the people that worked over there, having had long conversations about activism with them. But like you, I always felt that there was a pervasive sense of libertarianism over there. Mm-hmm. And that, while their forward thinking may have left them to be liberal, that they tolerated and acknowledged and, in fact, encouraged spirited debate.
Yeah. Well, what was crazy is my last day, I decided to go to Valhalla, the on-campus bar, have a few beers, and, sit out front and talk to people. Talked to a lot of faculty and students, and I said, why I was leaving, and they said, well, that's stupid, but you're in higher ed and maybe this isn't the place for you anyways. It's that pervasive. They see the problem. They see that it's not just, that it's not right. But they say, yeah, but it's higher ed and that's the way it is. It's so pervasive in higher ed.
Well, there you go. Kyle Coplen, still marching forward with his project, the Armed Citizens Project. Tell us the website.
ArmedCitizenProject.org. We're on Twitter also at ArmedCZN Project.
Is there any point in registering or lodging a protest with Rice University for how we perceive that you were treated?
There's a reason I'm here talking on the microphone. Y'all go for it if you want to.
All right. We will tweet out some administration email addresses and stuff coming up in a few minutes. Outlaw Dave show continues. Kyle, good to see you. How's our preemie doing?
Doing very well, very well. Coming up on a year old, and at 4 months, they couldn't even tell that she was premature. So
good.
Fantastic.
What'd you decide to name her?
Kyle.
All right.